Hello fellow Star Trek fans, welcome back to a brand new episode of 10 Forward, our episode summary and recap series brought to you as part of the Clone Star Pod. I am of course your host Mike Overton, and this week we are delving into Season 4, Episode 9 of Star Trek Lower Decks. The episode is entitled The Inner Fight, but before we do, a quick word from our sponsor. This episode is brought to you by the incredible folks over at sci-fi.com. Sci-fi.com is your one-stop intergalactic bookshop. They have got thousands of sci-fi books, comics, and so much more from your favourite franchises such as Star Trek, Star Wars, Marvel, DC, and more. If you use the discount code clonestarpod.com and set the currency to Great British Pounds, you will receive 10% off of your next purchase. And in doing so, you help keep us making awesome content. Thanks sci-fi.com for sponsoring this episode. Mariner, Boimler and T'Lyn embarked on a mission to reinforce the energy barrier protecting scientists studying tremble lizards on Perseus 4. When a barrier malfunctioned, Mariner took charge heroically, saving the scientists from the deadly poison attacks. However, she failed to notice the tremble lizard on her back, causing injury to one of the scientists. Back aboard the USS Cerritos, Mariner's reckless behaviour has worried the crew, as the ship is tasked with countering a mystery ship targeting former Starfleet officers, including Nicholas Locano. The crew devised a plan to distract Mariner with a seemingly dangerous space buoy mission. On Sherbal 4, they encountered a Klingon bird of prey, forcing Mariner to take control of the shuttle, but they barely escaped the encounter thanks to Tendy's quick thinking. Stranded on the planet, they discovered warring alien factions working together to capture a mysterious figure. Mariner's impulsive nature put her at odds with her colleagues, who have been ordered to protect her from danger at all costs. She ultimately went off on her own and encountered Ma'ah, a Klingon warrior, who we have seen before in this season. The encounter forced Mariner to confront her reluctance to embrace her warrior spirit and the pain of her friend's death. They decided to work together, trying to unite the stranded alien species. Meanwhile, on New Axton, the Cerritos' crew's mission appears to have failed. However, they have obtained schematics for the mysterious ship responsible for alien abductions, hinting that Locano might be involved. In a surprising plot twist, Mariner wakes up aboard the mystery ship and recognised Nick, who welcomed her to join their mischief, leaving us in suspense as the episode concluded. One part of this episode that I think they could have done better on, and I didn't really like, and if I'm honest with you, that is the scene where Mariner explains the reason for her current behaviour. And it's an incredible scene, don't get me wrong, but she specifically mentions Ensign Sito. Now, for those who might not remember, Ensign Sito was one of those ensigns that was involved in the other Nick Locano episode in Star Trek The Next Generations. This is where that ensign tragically died whilst performing a Colbert starburst. So, if you think about it for a second, that would make Mariner quite a bit older than everybody else, because we know that she's been promoted and bumped down a few times, and it just seems weird that Sito's death aboard the Enterprise would be the reason for her acting the way that she is. I feel like here that because Nick Locano is in this episode, they've tried to just throw another name in for the sake of it. I don't know. To me, it just doesn't feel like it's part of this episode. It feels like it is a little bit of an afterthought. And that's the only thing in this episode that I don't really get, and I think that they could have done better with. Now, there are some really good parts to this episode. To be fair, I love this episode. It's really good from start to finish, and I think one of the things that I really loved here is we do get that heart-to-heart scene with Mariner and the Klingon in the, I'm going to say tree or cave or whatever it is. That's a really great scene, although the name drop feels a bit out of place, but we're going to skip past that. And yeah, it's just a really good episode, and it really begins to tie everything together. We've seen this ship throughout the season. At first it looks like it's destroying all of these non-Federation member ships. Now we know that it's not actually destroying them, it's stealing them and now dumping the crews on the planet. So I wonder what's happened to the ships, maybe. It looks like the Klingons are, I'm going to use a Prodigy reference here, in cat boots with Nicholas Lucano. And yeah, I mean, and also, who saw Nicholas Lucano coming back? I don't think any of us did. There's also some really interesting tiny little references I noticed through the emblem that Nakano is wearing on his shirt. It's actually the shape of a Colbert starburst, which I really loved. And it's just a nice little Easter egg going back to that TNG episode. But yeah, just lots of really good parts to this week. And I really can't wait for next week. So my standout moment from this week's episode is the end of the episode, which I know is a bit weird. It's a very short scene, and it's where Mariner gets beamed aboard the mysterious ship, and then Nick Lucano appears. I mean, come on, who would have thought in a million years would we ever see Nick Lucano again? If I'm honest, I think he's an arsehole, based on what he did in TNG, but that's my personal do It'd be interesting to see if that changes at the end of next week's episode. Somehow I don't think it will. But yeah, do you know what? I just thought it was a really good use of bringing back an old character that, that no one has seen other than in one episode. I really, really loved it. And also, it's a great plot twist because no one saw it coming, which I just thought was incredible. Normally with these things, everyone has a bit of an inkling. Picard, it was a very high chance that the Borg were going to be involved, and so on and so forth. And, so it's really good to have a really interesting storyline here that no one saw coming. The only problem I have with it is there's no Moopsie in this episode. But hey, that's just me. This week's episode delves deep into Mariner's character and her backstory while simultaneously exploring the franchise's canon and the show's identity. It offers a mix of humour, including some broad comedic moments, but primarily relies on character-driven humour and a profound understanding of the show's protagonists. The Inner Fight takes a departure from the usual comedy to seriously examine Mariner's motivations, her rejection of promotion and responsibility, and the emotional complexity she faces, including survivor's guilt and PTSD. Tawny Newsom's performance as Mariner showcases her versatility, revealing great depth to the character. The episode also blends fun with commentary of the contradictions within Star Trek and Starfleet, with Mariner challenging the organisation to do better, the human peaks during Carol Freeman's visit to New Axton, filled with space criminal tropes and canon references. Jack Quaid as Boimler and Gabrielle Ruiz as T'Lyn contribute to the comedic moments with their witty performances. Beyond humour and character development, the episode ambitiously weaves together multiple story arcs, providing resolution to Mariner's long season arc, and addressing the mysterious ship plot. The episode placed a homage to previous Star Trek episodes and ties back to the series' origins. Mike McMahon delves deep into Star Trek lore, connecting various elements for dedicated fans. The big mystery arc comes into focus. and Marina's connection to Nick Locarno from her academy days adds an intriguing layer to the story. The episode successfully combines heart and humour while setting up for the season finale, showcasing the series' growth and complexity in its 4th season. All in all, this has been a really good episode, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. This episode is brought to you by the incredible folks over at sci-fi.com. Sci-fi.com is your one-stop intergalactic bookshop. They have got thousands of sci-fi books, comics, and so much more from your favourite franchises such as Star Trek, Star Wars, Marvel, DC, and more. If you use the discount code clonestarpod.com and set the currency to Great British Pounds, you will receive 10% off of your next purchase. And in doing so, you help keep us making awesome content. Thanks sci-fi.com for sponsoring this episode. Thanks everyone for tuning into this week's episode of 10 Forward with me, your host Mike Overton. If you'd like to catch up with more Clone Star podcasts, make sure you check out clonestarpod.com for blogs and fan art written by you, our amazing fans. There's also links there to buy some incredible Clone Star Pod merch, with some new stuff dropping soon. Watch this space. But until next time, I have been your host Mike Overton. Let's have a great week ahead.